Hi everyone, welcome to Cooking with Linal. Today we're going to be making a dish out of this cookbook, which is Eat Right for Your Blood Type, and it's type O. And the dish is a feta, spinach, and asparagus pie. And it can be served warm or cold any time of day. The crust is gluten-free, so we're going to be using flours like quinoa flour, millet flour, and brown rice flour. And the filling is just packed with wonderful vegetables like spinach, kale, asparagus, tomatoes, and shallots. And on top, a sprinkling of feta cheese. I have made this one before. It's scored an excellent. So come on over and join me for Cooking with Linal. Hi, guess what? My cameraman finally arrived, so I can get goofy now. So as you can see, I have the dry ingredients mixed in there with the ghee, and this is a pastry cutter, which I'm going to use to sort of massage things together. And then what it asks you to do is to, 1 tablespoon at a time, add cold water and continue kneading and cutting the butter into the dry ingredients. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. So as you can see, I have added the 5 tablespoons. And I forgot to mention, see how the water has ice cubes in it? That keeps it cold. Why does it need to stay cold, Linal? Well, because you don't want the butter in here, or ghee in this case, to start melting, because then it becomes kind of a mushy, sticky mess. You want the butter to stay cold while you mix it into the dry ingredients. I wanted to take the opportunity to share a little tip with you. As you can see back here, I have a few sets of measuring cups, and this recipe calls for an odd size, 2/3 cup. So what I have is 2 sets. One is the standard measurements, 1/4 cup, 1/3 cup, 1/2 cup, 1 cup, and then a big 2 cup. So I can use those for when those measurements are called for. But over here, I have some non-standard measurements. So I've got, the big one is 1.5 cups. Then I have a 3/4 cup measuring cup. And the one I use today, 2/3 cup. So just a tip, you can pick these up at any cooking store, but it makes it much easier instead of trying to figure out and combine the standard measurements when you need an odd size measurement for your recipe. It's not on, is it? Oh my. I'm having some technical difficulty here. Okay. So, to be honest, truth be told, the next step's not my favorite step. It's rolling out pie crust. So, remember this concoction here? I'm going to put it onto this floured surface. Again, I'll say if there's any experienced professional chefs, they're probably like, what in the world is wrong with this woman? Anyway, this is what I do. Okay, so the reason why this is not my favorite activity is because usually this sticks, and so I'm going to do something a little different, and I'm going to get some plastic wrap, and I'm going to put it on top of this beautiful pie crust. Then I'm going to take the rolling pin and try to roll it out into something that's going to be large enough to cover the bottom of a 9-inch pie dish. Okay? And hopefully it's not going to stick to the plastic. Okay, so I'm having a flashback to elementary school when I was in an art class over summer, and my creative side was completely squashed by a teacher who said something so mean to me. Anyway, maybe that's for another episode, or maybe for the end of this one, but see, all better. So what we're going to do is stick this into the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. And this is called par baking, which we're not going to cook it all the way through. We're going to just partially cook it, and then we're going to add the filling and put it back in there. But while that's cooking, and before I start the next phase, I do want to talk about that story I referred to about the clay. So when I was in elementary school, I was in a summer program, and we had an art class. So I was in a daycare center that took us over to the art class, and I felt insecure, and I felt I was late and not keeping up with the other students. And we had a project where we were supposed to roll out that gray clay, and then you're supposed to, I don't know, cut it out with some sort of large cookie cutter type things, and then peel away the edges, and then put it onto some sort of baking sheet where it was going to go into a kiln, and it was going to harden. And so there I was, and the clay started to stick on whatever surface I was working with, and so it wasn't coming off around the edges like it was supposed to. And the bell rang, or it was time to go, and the teacher came up and said, "Linal, it was time to go, too bad." And she, instead of carefully helping me, she took my entire project and squished it together and threw the clay back into the plastic bag of clay. And as a little girl, I could tear up right now thinking about it. I was so embarrassed and hurt and ashamed that I never wanted to go back to the class again, and I never wanted to do anything creative or artistic again. And throughout the years, my mom kept saying, "Linal, you have a natural artistic ability. You should take an art class." And I always used to just shut her down and say, "Nope, no, I don't," because I always remembered that experience as a young girl in the art class. And so I just want to encourage anybody out there who's had an experience like that, don't let anybody's words hurt you. And you saw the mess I just made, and guess what? The pie is still going into the oven, and we're still going to enjoy eating it, and it's fine. So hope that's an encouragement to you. So as you can see, the beautiful pie crust is par baked. And now I've got a large skillet with some olive oil, and we've got baby spinach, kale, asparagus, tomatoes, and shallots. And I'm going to be putting those into the skillet, I think. Love this kitchen shovel. It's my own word for it. Okay, and we're going to kind of just massage this around for 4 minutes. Check back with you in 4. 4 minutes down, we've got the beautiful cooked vegetables. We're going to transfer them into this large bowl. And I have already pre-measured a cup of feta cheese. Pour that over. Gently mix that up. Looks delicious. Okay, I'm gonna let this sit here for a sec. I'm gonna come over here. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to combine 2 eggs. Whisk this a little bit. got 1/3 of a cup of stock. You can choose vegetable or chicken. I'm going to add a pinch of salt. And then it calls for 2 tablespoons of fresh thyme. And so I thought I would take the opportunity to teach a little lesson on how to get these little branches off of the stems. So you take the leaf or the stem and see how it has these little things growing off of it. Try to get one single one, and then just with your fingers hold on. Oops. Retake. Hold on and just slide them off. Got the beautiful thyme. We're going to add it into here. Finish a stirring. Go back over here to the rest of the filling. Stir this up. And then we're going to pour this into the prepared par-baked crust. Okay. Back into the oven. This time for 30 minutes. All set. 30 minutes down. Let's see what this looks like. Ooh. There's our pie. Well, we have our feta, spinach, and asparagus pie. Here we have our creation. It looks pretty much like the cookbook's version, and it tastes delicious. Glad you could join me today. Don't forget to stay tuned for our next episode. And don't forget the lesson I taught you about don't let anyone's words or actions affect who you are. Be encouraged. See you next time. I hope and pray that it doesn't stick. But it did. Thank you.